Philadelphia. I'm Bruce Buffer. It's time for the Anthony Gorgano Show.
Good morning. Happy Tuesday to all across the Delaware Valley. It is a Tuesday, the day before the first Eagles training camp practice. Everybody reports today. It's on. They report, and then tomorrow on the field, stretch them out. Let's go. Gotta love it. Fun time of the year because this is when it just starts to kick in, and it's our excuse to think about the season, right? To talk about the season. You know, part of the fun is talking about what's going to happen, right? Like it's the ultimate pregame, right? We all love pregame. You're at home pregaming before you go out. It's the best, right? Anything pre is fun because it's the anticipation. Don't you love, like on vacation, don't you love either the drive there or the flight there, wherever you're going? It's the voyage. And that's always the biggest fun of the journey is the looking forward to it. That's what we need as human beings, right? We love to have something, mileposts to look forward to get us through it. That's why we have holidays, right? To get us through those seasons of the parties and everything else, to get us through the drudgery of life. And so this is what training camp is. It's an excuse to look forward and to imagine those autumnal Sundays when the Eagles are playing. It's the best. So we'll get into that. Lots of good stuff. Zach Berman will join us at 10, who does such a great job covering the Eagles for our all PHLY Eagles show with Bo Wolf. And the headlines he headmans all of our coverage. Big day today, Flyers country, because Michkov is arriving stateside. Yes, the Russian wonderkin is arrived. He's heading into New York. John Clark's already spotted the tail of the aircraft, and he's coming into New York, and he'll be down here later this afternoon as Michkov. Wow, guess what? I'm excited for him, man. Really am. There's going to be a lot of the fate of the franchise, the savior of the franchise is about to arrive. That's pretty cool. So we'll discuss that as well today. But is there any sort of Ranger worry? That's the big story today. Don't forget the Anthony Gargano Show presented by Rite Aid. Find all of your favorite goods from the Rite Aid store nearest you. All of your meds. I'm on Rite Aid allergy medication as we speak. So forgive me. Here's the deal. Ranger, last 5 starts. Not good. All right. 37 hits, 22 runs allowed, 20 of them earned over just 27 innings. He's lost 5 of 6 overall. And like last night, he wasn't horrible. The problem's really been that second and third time through the order where he starts to get up trouble. The alarming thing for me is the hits allowed. 37 hits in over the 27 innings over his last 5 starts. That means his location is a little bit off. He's getting too much of the plate. And they might have to figure out a way, whether it's that 6-man rotation they talk about. You know, again, we talk about the innings. And when you're not used to throwing this many innings, it starts to catch up to you. And it could be tired arm, dead arm, any of that stuff. But it looked like last night he just didn't have – he caught too much of the zone, and he just didn't have as much bite on his stuff. I mean, usually, it's hard to barrel him up, but there were some clean – they had some clean hits last night, Minnesota, and that's kind of been over the last 5 starts what you've seen. Again, he hasn't been a gas can, right? He hasn't been, terrible. But, one of the things is he's just – catching too much of that zone. That's a big issue when we talk about it. Phillies, you're going to have a down period, right? You lose 2 or 3 to Oakland before the break. You lose 2 or 3 in Pittsburgh. and you've dropped the first of 3 in Minnesota. There's going to be a bit. Every team does it. Every team has to go through it. This might be their spot, right? Where where you have a little bit of a down period. And again, their down period isn't terrible. Like you've seen the Yankees got off to that ridiculous start, and then they lost 15 of 18. So they're not in that mode, not yet. And I don't foresee that. Deadline's going to be interesting because we're counting down. We're getting close to it. And, and you saw it kind of last night with the bullpen and Sirianni. Like, I think VG said 2. I definitely need 1 really quality arm back there. I think that's going to be paramount, that you get another arm. Sirianni's a shame. Like, you look at his stuff, and he's throwing 99. And it's just not consistent. And that's a concern. So you need that bat, that outfield bat, and you're going to need another arm. I think that's a big deal. All right, JP is getting married. So it's me and my boy, Violations Greg Caputo. Hello, VG.
What's up, brother?
What you doing, buddy boy?
I'm looking for some starting pitching on the wires here to see what's out there. We might need a starting pitcher. Well, let's get it on the crochet action.
Crochet. I can't believe White Sox are going to move Crochet.
I do have concerns about Ranger in all seriousness. I mean, the dead arm period,
if I say like scale 1 to 10, Ranger danger, where you at?
3. I mean,
right. I think that's where I'm at.
The dead arm is like 3 to 4 starts, they say. So he's coming out of it now. I guess he didn't look dead yesterday. He looked all right.
No. Listen, I just thought his command was a little off.
Yeah,
he was catching a lot of the plate last night, and with him, he's hard to barrel up, right? And I thought last night, the second time, what's been weird? It's like the second and third time through the order is where he's starting to run into some issues. Mm-hmm. And that's where they started to barrel him up last night.
He's saying he was hitting his spots. I guess they were just looking at those spots for those pitches. He's having bad luck, he said last night.
I didn't think it was luck. I thought he was catching too much of the plate.
I mean, Topper's the eternal optimist, says everything they were looking for, they got out of him last night, which is what Topper gives you. It's like a little bit of like grandpa talking you off the edge. But,
which is what he needs to do. That's his role.
Yeah. Big day, though, man. Michkov's, the Russian, is on a plane to New York City.
So, look, it's been forever and a day since we've had this kind of optimism with the Flyers.
Forever. Especially with me, it's been at least 15 years.
Well, go to the last great player that now they've been terrific players here, but like potentially great was 88.
That's it.
I mean, you gotta go that far back.
Yeah, it's been a black hole since then. I mean, I know there was Giroux talk, but he was just never.
Claude was a very good player.
Yes.
Listen, I always thought Claude Giroux was a very good player, but he was not he was miscast as the face of the franchise, as the superstar. And listen, I get it. We all thought it after that series that against Pittsburgh, and he had that shift. Yes. I mean, that was unbelievable.
That was everything you expected. And then we just never got more of that. I wore the wrong hat, man. I wore Eagles hat thinking it's training camp, 23 teams report today, and I should have had a Flyers hat on today. Super weird on training camp day.
It is. It is funny. It was it was funny. We were going to have at some point we're going to get Danny Briere.
Nice,
but he just hit me back up. He's en route
to New York.
That's all we'll say. That's all I'll say. He's en route to New York. I'm so excited though.
Get him out of that rat city as quick as possible.
Yeah, I'm so excited. So excited for this whole process.
Yeah, it's fun
to begin. Because now you have someone to grow with. The whole point of the process, right, with the Sixers, was to kind of rebuild it and get young talent in here, right? Yeah. Like to really kind of redo the whole thing. And from that standpoint, if you just take it, forget about the title because we all want, and obviously to get out of the second round, but to be relevant. Like our quest is relevance. And that's before you can start challenging for cups, you've got to be relevant and you've got to be interesting.
Yes.
And having Michkov makes them interesting.
And it's not a guy with fleas. It's not injury worries.
No.
Like, he's universally renowned as a top legit prospect.
Right.
So it's like he doesn't have a broken foot right now, knock on wood. He didn't fall to us by some weird thing other than we were going to be patient with him.
Dude, I think about that, what you just said about fleas, and I think about Simmons.
Right.
Like, the last time I was this excited was probably Simmons. Right? If you think about the rookies,
we thought we had it.
Like the rookies, like the prized possessions coming into town. Like, I love Alec Bohm's become one of my favorite players, right? But, again,
it's baseball.
Right. Like, it wasn't. Bryce is a generational talent coming up through the system, right? If you get that kind of player.
Yeah.
But if you just take the homegrown draft pick or, prospect, the last time was Simmons. It was Simmons and it was Wentz.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
oh my God.
Back.
This has got to be different. It's got to be different this time.
Like, if you think about it, so on Instagram, I don't know why I still follow Carson Wentz, but I do.
You're looking for hunting tips?
And somehow, like, there was a post, and he was, it was his anniversary.
Is that a wedding?
Yeah, his wedding anniversary. God bless, right?
Yeah,
like, I think he married a Philly girl, right? Girl from here.
Yeah.
The whole thing. But it was funny because I'm like, wow, Wentz. I hadn't even thought about Wentz. And first of all, real quick, just as an aside, I don't get the public announcement for anniversaries and birthdays and these public displays.
Like, you don't put on Instagram, hey, Tam, happy anniversary?
No.
Nothing?
But we don't communicate through that.
Yeah.
Like, we communicate.
There's like a peer pressure with it, no? You don't feel that?
Maybe because we're too old.
I mean, I'm right behind you, but it's like, oh, my friends are like, oh my God, happy anniversary, or oh, happy birthday, the love of my life. It's like, what am I going to be, the douche who doesn't do it?
You guys are too old.
Yeah, we're old. You're right, Andrew. That's an old thing. Like, young, like you do it, I'm sure, right?
All the time.
Anything, there needs to be a public announcement for anything that you're doing.
Yeah, you have to. Otherwise, her friends will be like, he don't love you. He doesn't even care about the anniversary. It's all in the rear chirping.
But she's not a social media person, right? I mean, other than scrolling, I'm not. I mean, even I have to be.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not, I'm hit or miss on it. Like, I check it every day, but I'm not living on it.
Yeah.
But I get it.
You got to.
A public
I feel
announcement.
like you got to. Yeah.
Right? That anniversary. Anyway, so Wentz.
Oh, it's the greatest 20 years of my life.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'd be without you.
But don't you do it to the person? Like, I can't imagine.
I say it to the person.
Like, my cousin is about to have a momentous birthday.
Yeah.
And he's my brother, my cousin Joey. I talk about him all the time.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not going to go, tweet or Instagram a happy birthday, cousin Joey.
Oh, you should. Come on, man.
Yeah, man.
No,
Good picture of you guys pounding some beers, doing some beer bongs together. Yo, my boy Joey, happy birthday.
Yeah.
Like, we're not, like, if I did that, he would go, what are you, a jerk off? Like, that's what he would say. Like, that's the difference of the age group, right? Like, that's where that comes from.
Yeah, Casper that goes in the chat. He's about to get engaged, and the pressure of making sure I get the moment on camera is wild. Like, he's got to have that moment. She's got to share that moment
Casper,
with the friends.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah, good luck with that. Make sure that photo looks good, brother. They'll be judging
you. Got to get the photo. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's wild how we live our lives in the public. Like, we're all paparazzi.
And it's all just for show. There are people, the love of my life, where would it be? And they're miserable. They're like a miserable couple, but behind the scenes are always arguing. They never do anything together. It's like, yeah.
I know. I don't understand. Anyway, Wentz does this, right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about Wentz. And I'm thinking about, like, wow, look at that, man. I haven't thought about him. Like, we're fully over Wentz. We're knee deep into Jalen, and we're chronicling his arc as the Eagles quarterback. Yeah. Like, the Eagles quarterback was such an important person in our lives. Like, from when I was a kid, Ron Jaworski. Randall Cunningham.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Then you had like a mishmash of the Detmer, right? Bobby Hoying.
There's a little Bubby Brister sprinkled in there.
Right.
Rodney Pete.
Right? Rodney Pete.
Yeah.
Then you go into Donovan.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go into Kevin Cobb / Mike Vick.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, and you think about then you're into Wentz, Foles, and now Jalen.
Yeah.
Like that's not a lot of guys, right? Like the quarterback of the Eagles was a big freaking deal.
Absolutely.
Sam Bradford. Don't forget Sam Bradford.
You're right. No, listen, there was the training camp. It was with Chip Kelly, and it made sense. Listen, there was a game against the Packers. Do you remember the preseason game against Green Bay?
No.
There was you're like, no, man. Dude, what's
I
the
do
matter
not
with
have
you?
space in my brain for preseason games. No.
Yeah, your brain automatically
Triage that right out.
deletes that
Yes.
stuff. Mine somehow absorbs it. It's terrible, right? He was 10 for 10. 10 for 10 or 11 for 11. It was, the ball didn't hit the ground, right? And it was the Chip Kelly offense. And it was bing, 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 bing. They go down the field against the Packers in a preseason game. And everybody was like, oh, my God, Sam, I am. Like, it was crazy. That's funny. That's a good memory.
I remember that.
You remember the game?
I do remember that. Yeah, I was hyped.
Well, it was impossible not to be because he was just money. Like, he was dinging it down the field. Bang, bang, bang. And you thought, now here's what you have to extrapolate. Like, it's preseason, but when you extrapolate, you say, well, Chip Kelly's offense, getting guys open. The one thing Bradford was good at was he was accurate. Like, he was an accurate thrower. And, of course, that never materialized, right? That was a whole thing. But if you go back, and we started this conversation with Michkov and the Wonderkins, it was Wentz and Simmons for the longest time. And if you tell me his first couple years in the league, Simmons was good. He was legitimately good. And then he just fell off a cliff emotionally.
He was what we thought we were getting for a couple years. The defense was just, that's why Versace's his favorite player. And just tenacious on defense.
He was a great defender.
Yeah.
And his court vision.
Yeah, his passes were really stunning. Like the first year, you're like, oh man, like birdish sometimes the passes.
Yeah,
full
he was
court vision.
That big.
Yeah.
Right? And he had a great handle.
Mm-hmm.
And you're that big. I still, to this day, he's a mystery. Both those guys, there are legitimate reasons to think that they would be great. I mean, like you saw Wentz. Wentz had a great arm. He was big, strong. Like he would get rid of, like he would shake people off and fire. Like he had a great arm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like there were tools. Like both those guys were the greatest teases. I mean, they were ridiculous. Like you went, oh my God, how did they both become abject failures?
You used to have Wentz in a bear suit. The Revenant.
The Revenant.
Yeah.
I saw what an idiot. Like, listen, during the course of my career on the air,
He's hiding in a bear suit. Who knew?
He was what do they call those dudes?
A furry?
A furry.
Yeah. I saw the Revenant, right? And I was like, in the movie, do you ever see The Revenant, Andrew?
Oh, I love that movie. It's great.
Yeah, it's a great movie, right? And it's Leo DiCaprio, and it's, the planes. It's the 1800s, right? And he fights the bear. It's North Dakota. Right? And I'm thinking, North Dakota, it's Wentz, right? And meanwhile, that dude, forget about it.
I mean, Foles broke him. Obviously, he just couldn't handle the pressure of his backup won a Super Bowl in a city that was starved for it, and the pressure was too much. Well, I don't know what broke Ben.
I think what broke Simmons was shooting. He became,
but he never could shoot.
Unafraid to shoot. But he tried.
Well, I guess it's the hack of Ben is probably what broke him.
Yeah.
Once that
Free
happened,
listen,
he was like, I'm screwed.
I thought that he should have always attacked the rim. He never attacked the rim because he was afraid to go to the line. Right? Like,
yeah.
Every time he would, and he should have, right? Like with his body posting up, like he would theoretically, he should have had mismatches all the time, right?
Yes.
And you take him down a low block, like you could have went, high low with Embiid and Simmons, and Embiid's a good passer, became a good passer. Like Simmons should have, he should have ate down a low block. Well, for mismatches.
But you're right. He wanted to avoid the line, and once the strategy became, we're just going to hack him and put him on the line, he couldn't handle it. He wanted no piece of that world.
He wanted nothing.
Nothing.
He wanted no piece of it. And he ran from it. He ran from shooting.
Yep.
I mean, the whole the Atlanta Father's Day debacle where he passes up the shot was clearly, he wasn't afraid of Trae Young. He was afraid of going to the line.
Exactly. Yep.
And he didn't want to go to the line in a big spot and miss a free throw and get it booed. He was so afraid of that. It's amazing how that got into his head. Whereas
a free throw,
something
almost all of us can do,
destroyed him. Destroyed him. But like if you look at, it's so interesting because if you look at Wilt, right? He was not a good free throw shooter and was never afraid of it. Shaq.
Yeah, right.
Was not a good free throw shooter, but he was never afraid of it.
Right.
He always was like, whatever. Like, every player is going to have some sort of chink in the armor, and that was his. And it just disabled him.
Mm-hmm. You know who's not afraid? The Russian. We need a little bit of this Russian guy.
Well, I agree. Like, I'm with him. I'm hoping that, Lindros was all that. I mean, he only gets derailed. Listen, there was some drama with his parents and Bonnie and Carl.
Never
and
have
the
your
whole
parents
thing.
be your agent unless you're Tobias Harris.
Yeah.
It's the only one that way it works out, it feels like. And Michael Jordan, right?
But Bonnie and Carl, that was a mess. Yeah. Right? Complete mess. What happens is, other than that, it was the concussions that really made his greatness. And then, then he's not there, and then the Flyers trade him and the whole thing. But for a good 5 years, like, he was a great player, man.
I have still not seen a combination of talent and size like that. He was as physical as you could be, as big as you could be, but with like such a great pass, speed,
skill,
soft shot, soft passes, great wrist shot, good slaps. He could do everything.
Yeah. He had soft hands. He was big and fast.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a legit superstar.
Yep.
And that's the hope with Michkov. Like, I don't know, we saw the YouTube, whatever. I mean, you hope that he's that. You listen to everybody in the know in the hockey world, and they're going to tell you the kid is going to be great.
Yeah.
So you can only hope.
I'm talking 20 years we've been waiting.
Yeah. I mean, Lindros
for a player like this hyped up.
90 was in the 90s. Yeah, 94.
I mean, it's at least 24 years.
Yeah. I mean,
God bless Flyers fans who go out there and buy the tickets and go down still, man. This is a long time we've been waiting for something like this.
Well, and here's my thought. With Michkov, there's going to be excitement. And there's going to be the expectations. Everybody realizes that it's a rebuild, right? So it's not like it's like you got to win.
Yeah.
You have someone to enjoy every night. That's the key to the whole rebuild is bridging until you can build a team around him. You have somebody to watch and enjoy it.
A glimmer of hope.
Right.
Everybody needs hope.
Well, and you also need something to watch to keep you interested before they become good. And that was always the issue with the rebuild and quick fixes. There was never anybody that you went, I got to watch him tonight. Like our base as fans, right? Our base existence is, hey, I want to go down and see someone every night.
I want to see something.
Like, we talk about Iverson.
Yeah.
Right? We talk about him with incredible reverence. Why? Because, look, he only went to one final, and it was really, after that, it was a disaster. But we look back so fondly from the AI era because he was an entertainer. Every night. He entertained you. Every night he brought it.
Yep.
It was like fun to watch. Like, you got tired at the end because you wanted to win, but it was something to watch. And this is why today is a momentous day for the Flyers, having Michkov arrive stateside, getting him a year early, and we'll all be like, I can't wait to look at. In fact, I meant to look at the schedule before I got on today.
Flyer schedule?
Yeah,
we could pull that up.
Because I want to know when the first time we'll get a glimpse of him. Right? When do we get that glimmer of Michkov? Like, I can't wait. Cannot wait.
Let's see.
All right, while you do that, I'm going to tell everybody about Parks Casino, Street Road in Ben Salem. Yes, the home of the epic $5 happy hour. First of all, you want to have some fun this summer? Trust me. Parks Casino, Ben Salem, Street Road is a blast, right? They have everything you want, entertainment. All right. So the epic $5 happy hour, here you go, at the Liberty Bell Gastropub, Wednesday through Sunday. So beginning tomorrow through Sunday, blow off a day early. Head over there. $5 drafts of Ford Stout, Victory Seasonal, Parks Pills, $5 glasses of Albertoni Cabernet. Enjoy the drink of summer. $5 Twisted Tea Frozen Whiskey Arnold Palmer's. Plus, you can feast on flavor-packed $5 small plates, braised short rib sliders, hot honey chicken sliders, rotisserie chicken flatbreads, the all-new Parks Casino $5 happy hour, the epic $5 happy hour happening right now. So, again, all roads lead to Parks Casino this summer. The number one casino in Pennsylvania, 3,200 state-of-the-art slots, 115 live table games, a beautiful poker room, a collection of incredible award-winning restaurants. Joe Conklin, my boy, his comedy night every week. They have great cover bands at 360 Lounge. I tell you about their headliners all the time at the 1,500-seat Excite Center. Tickets for all the shows, parkscasino.com. Visit parkscasino.com. Got to be 21. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Parks Casino, this is how you win. And we're brought to you by Trumark Financial Credit Union. I found all about the credit union difference at Trumark. So, first of all, Kelly Body, who is the CEO of Trumark, is one of us, right? She is a 4-for-4 freak. She loves it. She just loves it. And so I got to meet her. We're talking sports and all. And then she starts to tell me all about the credit union difference. And, if you listen to me, it's always about local first, right? Nobody's going to champion the Delaware Valley except us. So the beauty of Trumark Financial Credit Union is all the money gets reinvested in the town. Like it's all about local. And with a credit union, you become part owner, which means profits come back to you instead of going to shareholders. You'll get better rates, lower fees, a better return on savings, more flexible options, all with the same digital tools and tech to make our lives easier. Trumark, again, headquartered in Fort Washington, 24 branches across the Philadelphia area. They serve our community and our people right here at home. You got to check it out. Head over to trumark.com/PHLY to learn more or to find a branch near you. That's trumark.com/PHLY, federally insured by the NCUA. All right, coming up, we'll be talking to the brain, and we'll get his. I got something for you, though.
All right. Looks like October 11th, the Canucks. That'll be our first game.
Home?
No.
Wow. They opened the season in Vancouver?
I mean, I'm a Zamboner, so maybe I can't read schedules on the NHL, but it looks like it's Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, Seattle. A little West Coast trip.
To start the season?
Looks like it, yeah.
Wow. That's usually the trip they take around New Year's.
Yeah.
I covered that trip a couple times when I was at the Inquirer.
That's a good trip.
Oh, it's a great trip.
Yeah.
I was in Calgary, so I did the Inquirer. It was when I was at the Inquirer, I did that run, and I was in Calgary, and it was the end of December, and I'm expecting it to be freezing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was 72 degrees.
72?
72. I'll never forget because there was still snow that hadn't melted, right? Like it was mounds of snow. Like, so you're walking the streets and it's beautiful. And at the hotel in Calgary, you could walk to the arena.
Right.
So I remember walking to the arena and there's mounds of snow and it's gorgeous, like 72 degrees, like springtime. And I was like, this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was awesome. But that's a fun. And Vancouver is beautiful. It was one of those deals. I get into Vancouver. I check into the hotel. It was a Marriott. And it's like right off the water. So you're looking at the water and downtown. And it was like, that's a stunning place.
Yeah, Vancouver's a cool. I'm not an outdoorsy kind of guy.
No.
If you like hiking and kayaking and all that stuff, that's where you want to be.
But I like cities.
Yeah,
right.
me too.
Like I'm a city guy.
Yeah.
But the city was dynamite. Like it was just a picturesque.
Yeah.
Like those cities that are built on the water are just they're amazing. This part of the show brought to you by the Bet Park Sportsbook and Casino app. Download it today. So I got this for you, and I want to have a little fun because we're going to be doing all next hour football. Zach is going to join us to talk about the Eagles training camp, so we'll get into that. The Big Brain will do. I'm sure we'll do some football with the Brain, and then I have an NFC power ranking question for you because I'm afraid of one team.
Okay.
All right, and we'll talk about it. But first, I have this list. ESPN did it. And it's the top 25 baseball players of the century, of the 2000s. There are, I'll ask you.
One Philly.
Two Phillies.
Two Phillies?
So Bryce comes in at 16.
Okay.
Can you tell me the other Philly? And Skeeves, I'll allow you to be... to take part in this. All right? Skeeves versus VG.
All right, go ahead.
Who's the other Philly?
Go ahead, Skeeves. I'll give you first choice.
To make the all-century team for ESPN.
All-century. Not Ryan Howard.
No, it is not Ryan Howard.
Holiday?
Doc Halladay. Ding, ding. All right. VG is up 1-0. All right.
Okay.
So here's how we're going to do it. You're going to get the top. I have the top 10.
Okay.
All right. We'll see who gets more questions, more guys out of the top 10. All right. You go first, Steve. You're down 1-0.
All right. Great.
You get a guess. Top 10.
Top 10. Number one overall? Are we going number one overall?
Just give me a top 10. If you get top 10, you get a point.
Albert Pujols.
Correct. Number one. Boom. Albert Pujols.
One overall.
All right. 1-1.
Ohtani
is there. Yes. Ohtani. Actually, no.
He's not top 10?
He's 14.
Oh, boo.
So you're out. You missed that one. All right. What do you got? You're up. It's tied up.
All right.
You take the lead.
I'm going to go Ozuna.
Ozuna? What kind of guess is that? I mean, Versace's laughing at you. Ozuna? And he laughed at you.
Acuna. Sorry, I mixed their names up.
Oh, Acuna, no.
Yeah,
Ronald Acuna, no. That's a much better guess. You were getting mocked by Versace.
Yeah.
Who you got?
Brain farted.
How about Ichiro?
Ichiro, correct. Number 5. VG's up 2-1. Go.
Mike Trout.
Correct. Number 2 overall. We're tied.
This one's sneaky, but Joey Votto.
Joey Votto?
Yeah, man.
What? Cue the laugh. Cue the laugh,
Come on,
Versace.
Votto's not top 10?
Oh, I got one.
He's not even in the top 25. He wouldn't make my top 200.
I know, but he's sneaky good.
Who you got?
Aaron Judge.
No. Aaron Judge came in
Really?
at 21.
Wow.
I'm
Yeah.
Garrett Cole.
You're missing a lot of guys from the early 2000s. No. No Garrett Cole. He's not in the top 25. You're missing a lot of great players.
Big Papi.
Big Papi, yes. Number 9, Big Papi. We're tied again. Actually, Steves is up 3-2.
Chipper Jones.
Chipper Jones, no. Did not make it. I think he was more 90s.
Vlad
Go ahead. You're up 3-2. You can take a commanding lead.
Jr.
Vlad Jr., incorrect. He did not make the top 25.
Nolan Arenado.
Nolan Arenado did not make the top 25.
Man, I stink
I
at
mean,
this.
there's some great players.
I stink at this.
Jose Altuve.
Jose Altuve. It's a good guess. I mean, he's a great player, but no, he did not make the top 25.
There's got to be pitchers we're not thinking of.
Yes.
Why am I blanking on these pitchers?
Definitely.
Yes.
It's on the same team.
There's pitchers
I know of.
that are still pitching today that are still on that are still there. In fact,
King Felix.
There's 3 of them. No King Felix.
Oh man,
You guys are just striking out. How about it? Versace.
go ahead. Oh, he's gonna hit 5.
Okay, Versace went in late. Jeter. Great guess.
What
Number
year?
12.
Okay.
Great guess. Number 12.
The dual-eyed king, Max Scherzer.
Scherzer. Yes.
Oh, nice. There you
Number
go.
10.
No.
Skeeves. Paul Skeeves.
Verlander's got to be a
is up.
layup after that.
Verlander,
There you go.
correct.
All right.
4-3. All right. You need number 3, number 4.
Number 3.
Yes.
I think I got
number
one.
6, number 8.
When did these people stop playing? Griffey's in the 90s, right?
Griffey is the
Yeah.
90s. Yes.
Kershaw,
number 3. Clayton Kershaw, number 3.
Todd Helton.
Todd Helton. He was a singles hitter first baseman.
Oh, man, he just went to HOF.
Oh, help.
Alex Rodriguez.
A-Rod, correct.
No, everyone's screaming Miggy at me.
Yes, Miggy, correct. 6-4. You are now missing one. Oh, perhaps I think the greatest player. He should be number 1
Wow.
on this
Rivera?
list. No, Mariano
Mariano?
is no, but he's on the list somewhere. He's
Greatest closer of all time.
yes, he's on the list. Rivera is where is he at? He's somewhere here. I saw his name, but he's not on there. He's number 13.
Okay.
Bonds. Thank you, Versace.
There we go.
I don't know why I thought Bonds was 90s.
Yeah, I thought he was
Yeah,
too.
my timeline is
I
all
was thinking
screwed up.
90s.
That's all that
Man,
smoke.
oh, man.
That's all that smoke.
It's herbs.
That's
I'm a
what
big
Toot
herbal
said.
guy.
Toot said you're an herbal guy.
Yeah, I like the herbal stuff.
So they're top 25. You ready?
Yeah.
Pujols, Trout, Kershaw, Cabrera, Ichiro, Bonds, Verlander, A-Rod, Poppy, Scherzer.
All right.
I mean, Kershaw's high.
Kershaw's really high.
3
With
Yeah,
that
it's-
postseason.
over Bond. I put Verlander over Kershaw.
Yeah, me too.
And I love me some Trout.
I know
But-
that.
That's high.
It is high. A-Rod, Bonds, like you can
Yeah,
juice,
they could
no
easily
juice,
be
whatever
higher
you
than
got.
Trout.
How about this? They have Adrian Beltre
Wow.
at 11,
Wow.
Jeter 12, Rivera 13, Shohei 14. This is another one that I think is way high. Mookie Betts 15.
Yeah, it's a little high.
He's ahead of Bryce.
Bryce is 16.
Wow.
Yeah, I would put Bryce over Mookie Betts.
Where do they put Freddie Freeman?
Hold on. Doc is 17. Halladay. Pedro is 18. Buster Posey.
Some people had him in the chat.
I love Buster Posey. He's 19. Zach Greinke,
Wow.
number 20.
What?
Yeah, Zach. Don't call me Berman. Greinke.
Call me Grinky.
Judge, 21. Randy Johnson, 22.
His name popped up in the chat.
Freddie Freeman, 23. CC Sabathia,
Wow.
24. And 25 is Manny Ramirez.
Am I nuts? Like, Randy Johnson seems more dominant than
9.
Kershaw.
Oh, way more
I'm like,
dominant.
what?
Yeah. Now, I don't know. Like, some of them are 90s guys, right?
Yeah, that's where the line gets blurred
Yeah.
for me.
Well, like, some of those guys, like, first of all, I mean, A-Rod, Poppy, Bonds, like, those guys were, I mean, geez. You know, you go to a lot of those guys are 90s.
Yeah,
Randy
you're in the-
Johnson.
You're in the
90s.
tail end of their career in like the 2000s.
So, but they bridge it, and they're giving you that. But I you know, if you're going to have those guys, then they got to be higher
Yeah.
because that's just a matter of time.
Kershaw. He's the
number
only
3.
Dodger there for a bit. Mookie's it's him and Mookie.
Manny Ramirez.
Oh, yeah.
Manny Wood. Remember when he went to L.A. and they called him Manny Wood. Yeah, and Shohei now too. Ohtani already 14.
Sam from England upset no Chase.
Yeah, no Chase. The fellow Brit for Sam.
Big Piece. I mean, Big Piece put up some numbers.
Nah, but who would you get rid of on the list? I love Utley and Howard, but who are you going to get rid of on the list?
Mookie Betts.
I was surprised Adrian Beltre at 11.
His career is really good. I just like his numbers are
Sneaky. Played Texas.
They're really
Played
impressive
in
numbers.
Texas. You know. All right. Time now for the brain.
No brain yet.
Oh, no.
A little premature brain action.
I thought the brain was.
No brain yet.
God only knows where the brain, what the brain
What he's doing for these 3 minutes while we're waiting for him.
Like with
hair
the,
and makeup.
With the, the brain, I think, was perfect again last night.
Oh yeah, I didn't look.
I think you got to be in charge of tallying the brain.
All right, I'll keep track of brain this week.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I think the brain is there. Like he's always above 500.
John P. saying he was 2 for 2, but I thought he gave us 3 picks yesterday.
He said he was 2 for 2?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's always got that.
I mean, he's got his plays, because the Tanner. Well, he was on Houck yesterday, wasn't he? I don't know if Houck had a great game.
It's right. He got hit around a little bit.
Yeah, he blew up my.
But I think he was over. But he lasted. I think he did over outs.
Yeah, I don't know how. We'll have to see, man.
Yeah. Here's the one thing, and I want to ask him about this. The NFC, the NFC win total. So one of the things I want to get into, and we'll talk about it with Zach when we talk about the NFC power rankings, is the Packers scare me.
I mean, with good reason. Why would you not be scared?
I think the Lions, if I were to power rank, I think the Lions are 1 because I think San Francisco.
Yeah, you got Lions 1
over San Fran. There's something about San Fran that I'm not trusting.
Okay.
Hey, look, remember that game? The Lions almost beat them in San Francisco in the NFC Championship game. The Lions are pretty nasty. I think they're well coached. Their offense is scary good. I mean, I'm on St. Brown is
Bet Parks has Detroit as number 2 to win the NFC, plus 550. Eagles are plus 650 right behind them.
Yeah, I can see the Eagles, again, all goes well. And if I'm going to extrapolate the season, I think that's where they should be. The team that I'm scared of is the Packers.
Yeah, they look like value 8-1.
Packers are pretty nasty. I like Jordan Love a lot. And they just have an endless supply of receivers.
Great receivers.
They're all young.
I think Josh Jacobs is a nice addition, a big upgrade over Aaron Jones from last year.
Yeah, because they ran him to the ground. And now with Jacobs, with their passing game, they have a good young tight end too, Musgrave. With the way they go and the way they can pass the ball, having Jacobs, man they're scared because you're going to put 7. You got to play them. You can't load up the box against them.
Their win total is 9.5 on Bet Parks.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, that's
Juice
the brain.
Juice is on the over minus 139, but
we'll talk to the brain about that. Here he is, the brain.
Brain. Red, the brain. Feinberg.
Brain.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Brain. What do you say, buddy?
I got to tell you, I disagree a little bit on what you guys were just saying. Not that I don't think they'll be good, because I do. Well, it's not that I don't like the Packers, but I will say this. I don't think Jacobs for Aaron Jones was some Herculean upgrade. In fact, I thought that Jones is the better player. I'll go that far.
I feel like Jones
is a
gets
guy
hurt all the time, where Jacobs is more of just a workhorse.
Yeah. I mean, and that's fair, and that was the issue. That's why actually Green Bay, in my opinion, it's like he to me on a way different level. It reminds me of Joel Embiid, where he's just seemingly never healthy for the big spots. Last year, Aaron Jones got hurt towards the end of the year. Then he came back the end of the year and was healthy for the playoffs. He ran for like 7 touchdowns in the playoffs.
Yeah, he
ran
did.
from
He had a great
crazy
playoff.
yardage.
He had a great
Yeah,
playoff.
and to me, you just wanted that guy healthy for game 18, 19, 20. Now, the issue is what you just said. He hasn't been able to stay healthy. But having watched the rate, now it may have just been as simple as the fact he held out last
Dude,
year.
I got to stop you real quick, and I want you to retort here.
Yeah.
They had no quarterback. Their offensive line is mediocre at best. It's not a great offensive line. Their passing game was just okay. I mean, I love Devontae Adams, but that's it. Like, you put them on Green Bay, that's got a slew of receivers and tight ends and a really good quarterback and a better offensive line than the Raiders. Now you're playing 7 in the box against him. Good luck.
Well, let me ask you. Okay, Anthony, we're going to have a little debate here. Let me ask you a question. Last 5 games of the year, do you know who led the league in rushing? Zamir White, when Josh Jacobs got hurt.
Yeah, and you know what that was.
He was going to get. He went against Kansas City, who was who won the Super Bowl
at the end of the year when the games don't matter.
Okay, I'm just saying.
I discount anything in weeks 12 through 17.
Okay, I get it.
You look at the Eagles, right? Like, the Eagles were going through something, and then it just fell off the table, right? Guys were just. It just had injuries mount, all kinds. There's a lot of fakeness that happens during that period.
That's a very fair point, Anthony. And that's what you're right. You're right. There is a lot of fakeness. That's actually the exact word I would use. That does happen. And I guess, listen, you have to try to determine what is less fake or what is real and what isn't. But I do agree with what you just guys talked about. Now, I bet that the Packers under 10.5. Now, I may bet over 9.5 and come back the other way because it has gone down to 9.5. And I actually think there's a real chance. If I had to think, I think the Packers are going to win 9, 10, 11. I think they're going to be like in that packet, so to speak. And I love again, what I like about Green Bay, they have a bunch of really good players. They have a bunch of good receivers, a bunch of good tight ends. Now they have Jacobs at running back. Again, Love looked like he has a chance to be an elite quarterback. So I do agree situationally for Josh Jacobs. Yeah, if this doesn't work out, then you would say, all right, because he won the rushing title 2 years ago. It was great. Last year, again, may have been just as simple as the fact he held out, right? Remember, he held out like right before the year. And again, maybe these guys, not they don't work hard, but maybe he just, he wasn't in training camp. Maybe it was just too hard of a adjustment.
I also believe, I look at Green Bay and go, they're so good in the pass game that, and their offensive line's better than the Raiders' offensive line, right? So
yeah, no, it's
I look at those factors, and I'm less when I look at guys, I judge them less by stats. I don't want my running back to lead the league in rushing.
No,
this sounds stupid, but if I'm looking to win, I don't need all those miles on them.
Actually, it doesn't sound stupid at all. You're right. In fact, I'd love to see. And I now last year I think McCaffrey did win the rushing title, but it seems to me like it's very rare where you get a team. I guess Derrick Henry sets years, but I agree with what you're saying. Premise wise, in today's NFL, I don't want my guy leading the league in rushing. To me, that's a bad omen. It means my team
Derrick
wasn't
Henry,
good
right? Forever, right? Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry. But they weren't great a lot of those years. I mean, they were good. I'm saying, but
and that's the point. They weren't. Tennessee wasn't.
They were never going to Super Bowl.
Right.
So yeah, it's so. And what you're saying is dead on, spot accurate. You don't want. That's exactly right.
What's his name from the Colts?
John Taylor. They didn't make the playoffs, I don't think. Yeah, I mean, so they didn't. That was when Carson Wentz imploded down the end of the year. So yeah, I mean, to me, exactly. You don't want your running back leading the league in rushing. Again, last year was a weird year. I think McCaffrey did lead last year? That was to me a random. Again, usually that does not happen. But I agree with your take on that and your premise. I think it makes a lot of sense, Anthony. But look, Green Bay should be a good team.
Yeah, we're talking about the NFC, and I'm curious about what you look at. For some reason, the Niners. Now, I think the Aiyuk thing gets figured out. A lot of posturing happens before. We'll see. I'm not in love with them. I think Detroit is the best team in the NFC. I'm scared about Green Bay. Obviously, I like the Eagles, but I love the Lions, man. I think the Lions are nasty.
Detroit is my pick to go to the Super Bowl. God, we always agree. Jesus, God, we do. But I agree with you. I think Detroit is going to be the best team in the NFC this year. I actually agree with you. And something about, it's funny because When I looked at my card and my over-unders, Anthony, I bet Cardinals over 6.5. I bet Rams over 8.5. I bet Seattle over 7.5. Well, guess what that usually means? I'm inherently not going to like the 49ers over. And I do think that, listen, they were kind of fortunate last year. They didn't get a ton of injuries. They got relatively healthy Debo year. Aiyuk was healthy. McCaffrey was healthy. They didn't have a ton of injuries. And they, I think they won, they win 12 or 13. But it's hard to win 12 games in the NFL. And I think that division's improved. And I don't like the whole, Anthony, you've seen it a million times in sports. This Aiyuk thing to me, I don't think it's going to be quite as clean as maybe you think it'll be. I could see that causing an issue. I could see that being like a real negative. And they basically said they don't want to pay him what fair market value is and they don't want to trade him. Well, if they've said they don't want to pay him fair market value and they don't want to trade him, that's going to lead to some hard feelings. And so I don't know. I mean, I think that may be a bigger – and he's their only true outside receiver. I love Debo. He's one of my favorite players in the NFL.
Yeah, I agree.
Debo is a very specially and the coach, Shanahan uses him brilliantly, but he's not a true outside alpha receiver at all. Not even close, actually.
That's why Aiyuk works, because he's such a weapon on the outside.
He's such a weapon,
exactly. And he stretches the field for you. It's the space game, right?
It's the space game, exactly.
You have McCaffrey and Debo, right, working that. You have Kittle, and they'll use Kittle down the field too, and Aiyuk. So Aiyuk and Kittle are the really only, and once in a while you put McCaffrey on a wheel route.
Yeah, see, that's why I do think, Anthony, I think they actually are very dependent on this guy. I just, it's funny, we talk about like the Eagles, and I said, yeah, God, if they were to lose A.J. Brown or Devonta Smith, what would happen to the receiver room? When I look at San Fran, I know they have guys like Kittle and Debo who are great, but I think losing Aiyuk would be a huge, huge detriment to their team. And I'm not so sure this one's just going to be we wake up and we get the deal done, because I think he feels strongly he wants Justin Jefferson kind of money. I probably don't think he deserves that, but he wants that first digit to be a 3. And are they going to give it to him? My guess is they're not going to want to do that. So I think it's going to be, you may have a Paul George situation. We'll see how it plays out.
I don't know. And listen, you're right. Like, obviously, it could go sideways on them. You're playing Russian roulette in that way. But you always see guys, and there's never any market. You always wonder, right? How come you wouldn't trade a 2 and a 5 for Brandon Aiyuk? Like, if you're some team that needs a receiver, but it never happens. It rarely happens. But
let me answer that question, Anthony, because it's funny. I just spoke to a buddy of mine right before you. He goes, he's telling me my friend's smart guy, and he goes, oh, I'm hearing that the Lions may offer a 1 and 2 for Aiyuk. I literally go, I freak out on the guy. I'm like, a 1 and a 2, to pay him $30 million a year? I go, if he was making the league minimum for 5 years, then give him a 1 and a 2 if you're getting a guy at a cost-controlled salary. I go, to pay someone $30 million a year, it's no different than when we do our fantasy leagues, Anthony. You have an auction of a team. If you're spending Brandon Aiyuk $30 million, it's taking away from the rest of your pie. So you're not getting any kind of deal on him. You're paying full market value. No. So you don't give up a 1 and a 2 for that. So I think that's why teams are leery when they give up a 2. When the Giants give up a 2 for Brian Burns, you're paying Brian Burns max money to be your pass rusher. So you're just, you know what I'm saying? That's totally right. That's the reason why. As opposed to getting a second-round pick, where you're getting a guy for theoretically 4 to 5 years that you're getting, theoretically, if the guy's good, way below market value.
No, you're spot on. And you look at Detroit, like Detroit can't do that. You mess your whole dynamic up. And they Lions are unbelievable. Like, they look at the skill people. I'm on St. Brown. Have you seen the receiver thing? Really?
I downloaded it. I haven't you watched it?
Yeah, it's really good.
I downloaded it. I'm looking forward to watching it. Yeah, look,
I love that kid. He's terrific. I think Jameson Williams has a year.
It's funny you should say that with Jameson Williams, because Jameson Williams is a guy every time I watch, and I think the guy really has ability, and he's a big play guy. Oh, by the way, talking about big play ability, do you know I looked this? Don't ask me how it came up, but man, DeSean Jackson, talking about big plays. I looked, he was like 36 in the NFL in receiving yards history, and I was like, could this guy make the Hall of Fame?
Dude, you know what's crazy is
what's that?
I love Jameson Williams because he reminds me of DeSean Jackson. And
That's a high praise, man.
well,
High
and he
praise.
could. Like
That's why I
his-
said it. When I
like
said the
his
same
ultimate
thing. Yeah.
ceiling, and it's
Yeah.
funny you brought that up, but his ultimate ceiling is DeSean Jackson, right? Like that, if he was to blossom into everything,
Yeah.
could be DeSean. DeSean was such a great player. He really is borderline HOF.
Well,
because
let me tell
he
you
could run through a cover two.
Well, let me tell you something. It's interesting, Anthony, because a buddy of mine, we were talking yesterday. I was in the car with him, and he goes, oh, let me guess in the top 10 receiver. He goes, yards. He goes, Julian Edelman. So I looked it up. Julian Edelman had the same amount of catches as DeSean Jackson with 55% of the amount of yards. Think about that. It was 12,000 versus like 6,500. Think about that. DeSean Jackson, in the same amount of catches, had double the yards. Double.
Yeah.
To me, DeSean Jackson was Tyreek Hill light. He was Tyreek Hill light.
Right, Edelman was a sit in space kid, right?
No, but DeSean was the original. Tyreek Hill is taking DeSean Jackson and become that much better. But DeSean Jackson was the original Tyreek Hill.
Yes,
I mean people who are watching who don't remember DeSean Jackson in his day, the guy was phenomenal.
You had the roll coverage. You had the roll coverage his way all the time. He just created. That's why Chip Kelly was the biggest idiot on the planet for getting rid of LaShawn McCoy and DeSean Jackson. And he did it because he didn't like them.
Second most touchdowns over 50 yards in NFL history to Jerry Rice. I mean, it's funny because to me, DeSean Jackson was, again, the two players that I actually always felt like you had to account for and scared the you-know-what out of anyone else have been Tyreek Hill and DeSean Jackson. Not saying necessarily the two best, but the two guys that really you're like, okay, where's 10? Where's 10?
Right,
where's
like
10?
they changed the course of the game. You're spot on. You're spot on.
But I didn't know he had that many receiving yards. It's going to be hard. I don't think he's going to get there. But you look at it, you could really make a case for him, Anthony. If you really do a deeper dive in the numbers and what he meant and all his long touchdowns and all. Yeah. Touchdowns are a big part of football. He got a ton of them. So anyway, I just thought it was interesting.
No, it's dude, we can go down the rabbit hole all the time together. Hey, real quick, let me get your thoughts, and then we'll get you go to your place. So ESPN did a top 25 of the century MLB.
Oh, I didn't see that. Okay.
Pujols won. Trout, Kershaw, Miggy, Ichiro, Bonds, Verlander, A-Rod, Poppy, Scherzer.
I mean, they're all great. I just have to, in my own head. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to where was Pujols?
One.
Yeah, because Pujols, he started his career probably in like 2001 area, right?
Yeah.
I think. So it was basically his entire career. I'd have to, in Bonds, I guess, Bonds, the thing was he had a lot of years in the 90s.
Yes.
Right, so.
Kershaw, 3. Great regular season pitcher, but we know about his playoff struggles.
Yeah, well,
I would put Verlander over Kershaw.
You certainly can argue. It's funny because Kershaw is that guy, Anthony, where he's now had, no joke, about, I think, like 400 innings of postseason baseball, and his ERA is double. Think about that. His ERA is double. When I used to watch Peyton Manning, I always thought Peyton Manning was the same as Clayton Kershaw. In the regular season, they were the two best players I've ever seen. But in the postseason, for whatever reason, Peyton Manning was nowhere near as good. And again, I'm not taking anything away from him. He was, in my opinion, the best regular season quarterback of all time. In my opinion, better than Tom Brady, better than anyone. In my opinion. But in the postseason, he just didn't have that same success. To me, Clayton Kershaw has been right up there as the best regular season pitcher in the last, right up there all time. But postseason, he's been bad. I think he is like the worst, most losses in postseason history. I don't know. I'd have to study, but I agree. Look, Verlander probably does deserve it. I would actually agree with you. I think that's fair.
All right. At Brad's Best Bets on Twitter X. How'd you do last night?
We gave out Houck over 17.5 outs, which won.
So that's what we were talking about. That won.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we went 2-1.
He was in trouble. Houck, I think.
We gave out the Tigers. Which won.
Yeah.
Oh, and the one that lost. I mean, it was a 5-1 shot. Pete Alonso did a home run.
Yeah, but
it's hard to win those.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the Tigers won 7-1 or 8-1, and Houck got his 6 innings. But like for today, listen, the two things I'm going to talk about. Lance Lynn, innings eater.
Oh,
But I know, no, but I'm going to take over 4.5 strikeouts for Lance Lynn. He's 14-5 this year, 52-21 his last 3 years to over 4.5 strikeouts. Going against a team in Pittsburgh that strike out the 6th most times in Major League Baseball, I think this line should be 5 or 5.5. When he lands on 5, that's when you're going to smile because I think it's going to be close. I don't think he's going to get like 7 or 8. I think he's going to get his 5. Lance Lynn over 4.5 strikeouts minus 134 on the park slate. And I'm going to take the hometown team, Anthony, here. I like the Phillies. Listen, my opinion, this lineup, this pitcher, I'm good. You know, I'm willing to take my chances that 3 out of 5 times or more, he's minus 150 on the park slate right now, that this team with this pitcher beats anyone at least 60% of the time. And I mean that. You know, I mean, I think that this is.
I love him tonight. I can see, listen, you get Wheeler, he's going to be amped, right? He's rested. I love him tonight.
I just think it's a very fair. Again, when no, Woods Richardson.
I didn't see the rotation. Who's pitching for Minnesota?
Simon Woods Richardson, who's been fine.
Yeah,
he's been fine. He's been a decent pitcher.
Yeah.
But again, I look, the Phillies right now have all their players. And I guess I feel like I'm going to get 7 innings of like 4-hit ball from Wheeler.
Yeah, I agree.
So
with you.
again, I'm going to take my chances here. The Phillies win it. Let's call it 4-1 Phillies.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you.
What's the hat today, Brain?
Oh, this is it has a B, but it's the Breakers Hotel in Florida. Yeah. Breakers Hotel. Yeah, exactly. VG, but it's a B Breakers hat. My fiance got it for me when she was at the hotel because it had the B on it. She thought I would like it, which
All right.
I don't know. I guess I do. But anyway, looking forward to hopefully a 2-0 night, and tomorrow we can talk about a big Phillies win, which I think they're going to win tonight.
I love it. I absolutely love it. All right, Brain, good stuff. We'll talk to you tomorrow, my brother. It's funny. He and I are always on the same page.
We are. I'll see you tomorrow.
I know.
You guys are weird like that.
I know. It is uncanny. So we got Zach Berman coming up shortly. But first, before I tell you about Bet Parks, VG is going to do his first read.
Oh, boy.
All right? All right, give him the close shot, close up, the one shot, on camera. It's VG talking about Shady Rays.
Yo, and I love sunglasses. I don't leave the house without my sunglasses. It's sunglass season all the time for me, but a lot of people in the summer. So get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last from our friends at Shady Rays. They got you covered with premium polarized shades that do not break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglass company offering world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all your outdoor activities. They have hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find a perfect pair that match your style. They even got all kinds of colors, so they can match your favorite team's colors, maybe even some Kelly greens, maybe. I wear them when I'm driving. It cuts out the glare, the fit, clarity, style, it's all good. Plus, if your shades ever go missing and mine do all the time, don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection in all your eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you don't love your shades, exchange for a new pair or return worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back, just like you, Ant, with personal and fast support. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use the code PHLY for 35% off all polarized sunglasses. And that's a big deal because a lot of people don't give you the sale on the polarized glasses, only those janky frames. But no, they give you the discount on polarized glasses. So try it for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
Woo! Dude, you killed it.
Oh, thanks, brother.
You killed it, man. That's a good read. Listen, I've been listening to reads
I can read, boss. I can read.
Yeah, but guess what? Not only you projected, you sold it, you talked with passion. You didn't just go verbatim.
Oh, I love sunglasses. They're
all right?
my jam, yeah.
And you didn't just go verbatim off the read. Like we all have these reads, right? We do the commercials, right? With the, whatever product they want us to talk about. But part of the thing is to make it conversational.
Mm-hmm.
And you did a great job.
Thanks, brother.
I'm very proud of you.
Thanks.
Hey, we're also brought to you by the Bet Park Sportsbook and Casino app. You heard the brain. He loves wheels tonight.
I love hearing that.
Yeah, and by the way, I think it's a great pick. I do. I think the Phillies win tonight. It's got that vibe, right? Wheels back. He's going to be fully rested. And again, against a pitcher that they could handle. So I love the Fightins tonight. You can check it out. Check out the BetParx online casino sportsbook. All right. Again, while you're watching the game, if you want a little casino action, live baccarat, live roulette, live different blackjack games, you can play them all right now with a live dealer right on your phone. Here's the deal. Hundreds of exciting online slots like Zeus, Fantastic Fireworks, Lucky Cherry, all the action and excitement for the casino right at your fingertips, right in your phone. BetParx, by the way, new users, download the BetParx online casino sportsbook app right now. Get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down in the first 24 hours. BetParx.com has all the details. Got to be 21 in PA, New Jersey, Maryland, Ohio, Michigan. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right. Now, we cannot wait because everybody reports today to NovaCare, Dateline, South Philadelphia. And this is it. Training camp 2024 will get underway today. And the man, we've talked to him every week. He covers the Eagles for us, all PHLY. He and Bo Wolf have just such a great show. Love those dudes. Of course, the great Zach Berman. Zachariah, good morning, my brother. Happy camp.
Hey, good morning. Happy camp. I was taking notes on VG's ad read. I'm going to put that into today's show. That was well done there.
Appreciate it, Zach. Appreciate it.
Oh yeah, big time. I'm still picking that up. That was impressive.
Yeah, you had that, conversational, octaves went up and down, kept you.
I am a multi-octave guy.
You're an octave. You're an Octavian.
I'm an Octavian. Yeah, sure.
So I cannot wait. All right. Training camp is upon us, Zach. All right. What's the first story? There's 20 storylines, right, with this team. What's number one? What's the first story that you're ready to tackle?
Yeah, 15 years ago when I started as a beat writer, my editor said, always write the quarterback. And I think the big topic here is the quarterback, right? How does Jalen Hurts look? And you make it big picture. How does he look in the new offense? How does he look with Nick Sirianni? How does he look with his teammates? There's a lot there, but really it's Jalen Hurts' progress going into year 5 here in a new system, rebounding from the way last year ended. So and frankly speaking, he did not look that great during the spring. So how much better does he look this summer relative to the spring?
Yeah, I always write the quarterback. Whoever gave you that was spot on. I received the same advice when I was a beat writer before you. So write the quarterback. I'll
interject real quick. I'll tell you exactly what it was. I was covering Virginia Tech. It was 2008. Tyrod Taylor was in a quarterback competition with Sean Glennon. And I said to my editor, I'm writing the quarterback every day. There's other guys on the team. And he said, always write the quarterback. So that's stuck with me ever since.
Wow. Tyrod Taylor and Sean Glennon. Hoagies.
There you go.
That's awesome, man. That's what Vatek was. Man, that was incredible.
Enter Sandman on Thursday nights. That's a scene.
Beamer ball. I mean, wow. That's special teams. The attack of the defense. Wow, that's just outrageous. That was great. That's college football, like the essence. I smell autumn when I think about Vatek and Blacksburg.
and then my first big road trip with Vatek was to Lincoln, Nebraska when they were playing Nebraska. So I was watching your show yesterday. I see all the Nebraska love there. So it brings me back to 2008.
Yeah, there's something like I can talk college football. I love it. All those programs. And it's funny, I don't even have a team, to be honest with you. Like, I know people, so you root for them. But beyond that, being a Temple guy, I didn't have a squad, right? Like I just kind of would float in and out and the different storylines. I do think Penn State's going to be good this year. I like the way Penn State looks.
I agree there. Yeah.
All right. Let's get back to the birds. Get back to the stories at hand. So I want to run this by you. Diana Rossini wrote a piece And this was interesting. She talked about the 10-1 start, all right? I'm going to read you a couple passages from her story. What I was told, the 10 wins were a grind. The Eagles were winning, but things weren't exactly perfect behind the scenes and from a culture standpoint. One issue, Sirianni is a conservative play caller, and that never goes over great with a franchise quarterback. Brian Johnson, the offensive coordinator, was trying to basically appease Sirianni, right? While he was the OC, it was 100% Sirianni's offense you were watching last season, and Sirianni wanted to do it his way. That meant a conservative run-first approach, especially when they got into the red zone. In his way, he said, and last year opposing defenses were ready for it. Johnson wasn't calling the plays. He was solely focused on giving Sirianni the offense that Sirianni wanted to run.
Yeah, a few things there. First off, the big part of it in terms of the play calling, I can tell you, it was Nick Sirianni's offense. Brian Johnson was calling the plays, but Nick Sirianni was putting the game plan together. Nick Sirianni was setting the menu. So it was Brian Johnson calling Nick's plays, right? And I think Nick's been kind of open about that, and that is different this year with Kellen Moore. This is Kellen Moore's offense. Kellen Moore is calling Kellen Moore's plays. That's a noticeable difference, or a notable difference going into the season. As far as the way last season started when they were 10-1, Diana is correct about that. I was living it. I was in that locker room every day. It was a grind. It did not feel after those wins. It did not feel the way it did the year before. There were times in that locker room where it was if you had to build morale. And when I say you, like the coaching staff, some of the leaders had to tell the guys, like, we won a game, right? It didn't always feel like wins in there. I think the expectations, the burden from the year before, that was weighing on them, and they were not playing particularly well. There were teams that they should have beaten handedly, and the games were too close. And then as far as the red zone offense there, that's correct as well. I think they were so reliant on the brotherly shove, the tush push, the quarterback sneak, however you want to call it. They kind of felt that if they can get within striking distance of that, it was such a money play for them. But I don't want to say it came at the expense of your normal offense, but it was kind of like just get inside the 5, and then you can get close and you can sneak it in. And I think that it did disrupt the flow. They were run heavy down toward the goal line, and that's probably not the best path always when you have A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. But they really like Jalen Hurts' legs as they get closer, and I don't think Jalen was the runner he was, particularly after the Rams game last year.
Did they back him off in being involved in the run game? Because that's what it appeared. And the run games, let's face it, what makes it effective, is having Jalen involved in it. And then that also helps him throwing the ball down the field, because you got to account for that. It just messes with your safeties. It messes with your defense.
Yeah, Jalen got dinged in the Rams game, so that was late September, I believe, week 4, if memory serves, and he was not quite right thereafter. And he did not miss practice time, he did not miss games, but it absolutely affected the way he played. It affected the way he ran. I recall being on the shows, and Baldy was on it then. Baldy and Bo were saying he just does not look right running. And me kind of, and this is where I'll give credit to both of them, right? Because I'm kind of leaning on my reporter side, and I'm like, well, he's at every practice. He's not on the injury report. I'm talking to people in there. They're saying he's playing, but clearly something was up. And then as the year went on, you heard, I think it was a bone bruise, and it affected him, and it certainly affected the way he functioned within the offense, and it probably affected the way they called the offense as well.
And it also affected, because Baldy and I did a bunch of Baldy's breakdowns when we were watching all the film, and you could clearly see he was not the same quarterback in mechanics. His mechanics, he was quick to leave the pocket before anything, before there was any duress. His eyes were not up. Like, his mechanics were really off last year. And I thought that also, and it coincides with that game against the Rams. So it would make sense that, the offense would kind of would struggle a bit, especially if, he's a little freaked.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And to build on that, early last season, so their first 3-4 games, it was against some defenses that they were less familiar with. They played Belichick week 1. They played Brian Flores week 2. And Jalen said he saw more unscouted looks than he was used to. And I think those unscouted looks early I don't want to say it created a seed of doubt, because I can't speak for Jalen there, but I do think it changed the way his eyes were thereafter. Right. And Baldy will tell you, you'll tell me, like, the eyes of a quarterback is so important. As much as anything else, what you're seeing when you're seeing that rush is critical.
Hey, Zach, is there, can you remember a time when there's been more anticipation about what the quarterback's going to say at his press conference on day 1 of training camp? Like, everyone's waiting for this. I love Nick. We're on the same page, right?
Yeah, good question. The only time I can remember, or the most recent time, is 2020 when Carson was coming back and Jalen was there. Jalen was the second round pick, and Carson kind of and like coincidentally they had a new offense there where they were mixing in some of Scangarello stuff with Doug Peterson stuff, but really the big thing for Carson was that he got hurt the year before. They draft Jalen Hurts in the second round. Are they going to use Jalen Hurts? How's that going to look? What's the relationship between the two? And that was also in the throes of COVID. So there was a lot in terms of like how much time they could actually spend together. But it was much anticipated to hear what Carson would say back then.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating how this whole thing plays out. I talk to a lot of people, as you do, and it's like, all right, they want Jalen. They love him, but they want him to have almost a little bit of different approach. Is that accurate? You hear the same thing? Like last year, he was a little withdrawn. He wasn't they say he wasn't really himself, I guess. But, they kind of want to get him back to that.
Well, there were a lot of dynamics last year when you say he had just signed a big contract.
Yeah.
Right. He was coming off the MVP campaign. I think there was a lot there. And then he did not experience, obviously, the same type of success. It's like the line in Bull Durham that, when you win 20 in the show and you have fungus in your sandals, you're colorful. But other than that, you're sloppy. Right. And so when you're winning, the way Jalen is on the sideline, that demeanor, that comes off as like intense and driven. Right. When it's not going well, it can be perceived as withdrawn. And the reality is everyone looks at the quarterback all the time. And so they're going to take the cues from that. So when the offense is struggling, they're looking at the way you respond. Body language matters in those cases. I recall talking to John DeFilippo, the former Eagles quarterbacks coach, who used to say like he would ding Carson Wentz on body language stuff sometimes. Because that's important. So yeah, I think there's some of that with Jalen. I think a lot of it has to do with performance, but also the dynamics in the locker room are different this year. In that Fletcher Cox, Jason Kelce, they had really strong voices in the past, and you take those two guys out, and it's really Jalen's voice carries even more weight now than it ever has.
So Sirianni, right? What is their relationship? Like what as best as you could read into Syriani and Hurts, what is their relationship?
Yeah, so it's two totally different personalities, like as we all see. I mean, Nick is obviously more emotional, outgoing in that sense. Jalen he's more reserved. Now that doesn't keep them from having a good relationship or having a productive relationship. I think what what bonds them, or what has in the past. I've spoken to both of them about this. They're both kind of coaches' sons who grew up similarly around football, right? They, ball boys at their dad's games, right? But ultimately, you get to a point where it's less kind of the personality dynamics, and Jalen needs to be convinced that the offense he's in is making him better and is kind of maximizing his skill set. And Nick needs to continue to have an offense that maximizes Jalen's skill set. And I think Jalen knows the power that he has, if you will, right? And he played coy with it last year, but Jalen knows that what he thinks matters and resonates in the locker room, in the front office, in the organization. And so I think that's critical there, that everything is done to maximize Jalen. And I think Jalen will feel that as well.
So Diana Rossini says that he did not, basically she intimates that he did not like that offense. What do you think, what's Jalen's vision for his own offense, for his own game? Is it down the field more? Is it, letting it air out?
Well, historically, those are the throws he likes to make, right? And the RPR game has been a big part of what has made him successful, right? And the Eagles had, or I should say, Jalen had a lot of success early on with, for instance, the Oklahoma offense with Lincoln Riley. And it didn't surprise me, frankly, that during the coordinator search this year, the Eagles spoke to Cliff Kingsbury and were interested in Kingsbury, who comes from that air raid tree. Mm-hmm. So you ask a really good question just now, and it's one that I'm going to store and maybe ask Jalen tomorrow or this week, because I haven't asked him specifically, what offense do you want that maximizes you? And I don't know if it's Kellen Moore's offense or not, but I do know that Jalen this offseason was very clear about kind of having to figure out what he likes about the offense, what he doesn't. There are things that he's going to take. There are things that he might not want to emphasize. And I think that's going to be apparent during the first 2 weeks of camp.
Hey, Zach, we saw last year where there was at least that one instance where they ad-libbed the play and they just threw it downfield. Yeah. And just touched on what you've been saying. Do you think Jalen respects Nick as a football offensive mind?
I think he respects him as a coach. As an offensive mind, I can't tell you that. I mean, he had a lot of success with Nick and Shane Steichen, obviously, 2 years ago. When they put Brian Johnson in place, a lot of that was because of Jalen. The relationship that he had with Jalen, the background that he had with Jalen, the comfort level that he had with Jalen. But like we were just saying, it was Nick's offense last year. And I think Nick had a heavier hand even more than he had with Shane. And even more than he had with Shane during those first 2 years. So does Jalen respect Nick? I think Jalen Jalen's a coach's son who played for Saban, right? And I think Jalen also looks at it like he's had a different offense, different system sometimes, really going back to when his father was his coach in high school. And so, throughout Alabama, a different coordinator, different play caller every year. With the Eagles, really going from 21 to 22 was the only time that he had any continuity there. So I think Jalen kind of looks at the OC job as he can always adapt, always pick up different offenses. I can't answer specifically what Jalen thinks about Nick as an offensive mind. I think he's respected Jalen. Oh, I'm sorry. I think he's respected Nick as a coach. But look, that relationship is critical this year. I don't think we're overstating it. I think these stories, the intrigue, the speculation about it, it's well-founded, because Nick's not going to be here for year 5 unless he maximizes Jalen and unless they have a good relationship.
Where's Barkley fit in? And with this offense with Kellen Moore, is he going to get the ball out of the backfield? I mean, that was something we thought that Swift they would use more with Swift. You almost have to use that with Barkley.
Yeah, so it's a real good question for this reason. You just mentioned it. When they acquired Swift and throughout camp last year, that was a big talking point from Sirianni, from people I spoke to, is how natural of a pass catcher Swift was, and they were going to utilize him. When the Eagles hired Sirianni, one big thing he emphasized, and he said this on the record, he said this, when I was speaking to people behind the scenes, they're going to throw the ball to their running back. And I kept hearing when they hired him, Nyheim Hines, and the success that he had in Indianapolis, right? So you take that and you look at the fact that they did not incorporate the back in the passing game during these past 3 years. And I think that's more of a Jalen thing than it is a Sirianni thing. I think that Sirianni would like the ball to get to the back in the past. Jalen hasn't looked that way. You add Saquon Barkley here. The Eagles want Saquon to have 300 touches, right? 275, 300 touches this year. It doesn't all have to be carries. Saquon's been a real productive pass catcher. Kellen Moore has had success with running backs in the passing game. You look at Tony Pollard 2 years ago, for instance, right? I think that this is a way they want to use Saquon. Saquon is an upgrade over what they've had in the past year. In particular, Miles Sanders 2 years ago, but even Swift last year. That said, Jalen needs to throw them the ball. And I keep hearing this counter argument when I ask people about it. Well, when you have A.J. Brown, you have Devontae Smith, you have Dallas Goedert, the offense is going to run through them. Well, now you have Saquon Barkley, and this is different. And I can promise you, Howie Roseman's not just paying Saquon Barkley $13.5 million a year or thereabouts just to run the ball in first and second down. They're paying him that because they want him to be a threat in the passing game on third down, even early downs. I'm not saying he's going to be Brian Westbrook during Andy Reid's time, but if Barkley's not involved in the passing game, then I think that speaks more to Jalen than it does Kellen Moore.
No, I would agree. Sit tight 1 second. I'm going to tell you about Folco, the leading manufacturer of sports and entertainment merchandise, with a product line that includes apparel, accessories, toys, collectible, novelty items, and more. It's Folco. F-O-C-O. Best official licensed gear for all sports and fandoms. You go to a basketball game, a hockey game, show off your love with team-branded friendship bracelets. Whether it's hoodies, jackets, beachwear, overalls for football, or all of them, there's something for fans for almost every occasion. Folco has hooked up PHLY up with some incredible product pieces for all of our sets. You see all of our stuff here? That's Folco. Folco always has our back for Philly sports, and they got yours too. Get the best gear around by using the link in our description. For all non-presale items, use the promo code PHLY10 for 10% off. Folco. You got to love it. And Primos. What's for dinner tonight? We ask that question every night in my house. What are we doing? So last night I made pasta. All right. Tonight they're not going to want pasta, right? They're going to want Primos. I just know it. I can hear it. Like, all right, Daddy, what can we go out to eat? Can you go bring home Primos? Because they love it. It's such a treat, right? It's the great sandwiches. And it's perfect for summertime too. And I don't have to cook, so it's great. It's the great Thuman meats and cheeses and that fresh ingredients piled high on the seeded roll, baked in-store, fresh, every couple hours. The best, right? They're going to want, they always love their cookies. So Daddy get the cookies. They have the desserts. Massimo likes the pickies, pepperoni and cheese. They got it all right? Go to PrimoHoagies.com. And the beauty of Primos is that whatever dissenting tastes you have in your house, there's something for everyone, all right? We get 4 different types of sandwiches in my house because we have 4 different tastes. So check out PrimoHoagies.com. Become a rewards member, all right? You got special offers, including deals on Primo-sized hoagies, all right? Check out PrimoHoagies.com. You'll say what I always say. It's not just a hoagie. It's a Primo. All right, back more with our man, Zach Berman, getting ready for training camp 2024. Let's talk about the offensive line for a second, Zachariah. No Kelsey, all right? How's that going to affect the unit? I mean, we're going to talk about it. You mentioned it earlier. He's such a big deal, mainstay for all those years. How's the line look?
Yeah, so this is a big part of camp this year because I think so much attention is being paid to how they're going to replace Jason Kelsey as a leader, and in the locker room. And I just mentioned that a moment ago. I think more of the issue is how they're going to affect him on the football field. He's a Hall of Fame player who made the calls at the line of scrimmage, who's terrific at the point of attack, and also really productive blocking downfield. He's remarkably durable. And so Cam Jurgens was drafted to be a natural center, right? So he was not playing his position last year, but there's still question here. That said, you have question at center and you have questions at right guard. I expect Tyler Steen to be the front runner there. I think Mekhi Becton, if Becton looks really good, they're going to take a look at him. But I'm expecting Steen to be the front runner. So this is going to be year 13 for me covering the Eagles. They've gone into training camps where they've had question at one spot on the offensive line. There have been times when left guard was a question. There were times when right guard was a question. There was a time when left tackle was a question when Peters was being replaced. There has never been a time when they've had two spots that were questions going into camp. And really where the Eagles have kind of hung their hats during this decade plus and going back to the Andy Reid era too, has been the strength of their line of scrimmage. And I think that if there's any kind of reason for concern this year for the Eagles, it's that both lines of scrimmage have questions, the offensive line and the defensive line. And I think it's questions that the Eagles feel they're adequately prepared to answer because of the resources they invested, right? Jurgens is a second-round pick. Steen was a third-round pick. Mekhi Becton's a former first-round pick who they paid good money to be a backup to, but there's still questions. It's not like having Brandon Brooks and Jason Kelce back there. It's not like having Isaac Seumalo even. So I think that, A, they need Lane Johnson to stay healthy. B, they need Jordan Mailata and Landon Dickerson to continue on the trajectory they are because they have three Pro Bowl, All-Pro caliber players right there. But also, we can't be talking the three of us in week 4, week 6, week 8, and there'll be questions about center and questions about right guard because you can have questions at one spot, questions at two spots more of a challenge.
Hey Zach, cornerback was an issue, and it seems like they have 37 guys in camp this year. Who do you think makes the roster? Is James Bradbury here on opening day?
I don't expect James Bradbury to be here opening day. Now, the complication there is they pay him the same whether he's on the team or not, right? So it's a sunk cost at this point. They're going to look at him at safety during training camp, but I think ultimately there's an opportunity cost there, and they're going to move on. I think their ideal scenario would be if someone trades for him, a team that lacks depth or a team that has injuries, because Bradbury has proven he can play. But I think that just given the numbers the Eagles have, they're going to move on. We'll see. I think Quinyon Mitchell is in position to start there, but it won't be handed to him. I'm expecting Keely Ringo. Yeah, I think Keely Ringo is a good player who's going to continue to have an opportunity there. Keely Ringo is actually younger than Quinyon Mitchell. Yeah. He looked good this spring. They'll see him there. Isaiah Rodgers really impressed the Eagles this spring. It was a good lottery ticket signing by Howie. That said, I think if Isaiah Rodgers is starting over Quinyon Mitchell or Keely Ringo opposite Slay, I don't think that's the best outcome for the Eagles. So I think, look, when you take the top cornerback in the draft by their estimation, no cornerback was drafted above him in the first round, and he was a senior in college, right? He was not an underclassman. He's 23 years old. The expectation should be that he starts and plays right away. So I think Quinyon Mitchell's going to have an opportunity.
And what about Cooper DeJean?
I give Cooper DeJean right now. I expect him to be the front runner to start in the slot. I know they brought Avonte Maddox back, but I think DeJean's going to have a chance to win that job. He's a real unique player. I think DeJean's going to play early. I don't think DeJean's going to start on the outside. I think he's going to be a slot potentially day one, but certainly early in the season. And when they go in the dime, when they play different formations, they can use him around the formation. I don't think they're going to be worried about putting too much on DeJean's plate because of his versatility.
Does he do any time at safety, you think?
Not initially, although that's a position where the Eagles are thin right now. Sidney Brown, he's coming off the ACL. He injured at week 18 last year. He's not going to be ready for the start of camp. They obviously have C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Reed Blankenship at the top of the depth chart there. There are questions behind them. That's why they'll play Avonte Maddox at safety early on. They're going to look at Bradbury at safety. I think DeJean maybe could become a safety at some point, but I think early on slot corner is more the spot I would watch for him.
All right, how about Huff? Like, yeah, I'm interested to see, listen, they spent a lot of money on him. And, it's funny because the same day, Hassan Reddick is not reporting to camp. I know you saw that. What's your expectations for Huff?
I don't think it's a given that Huff is the difference maker they expect him to be. Huff was a double-digit sack producer last year. Terrific, situational pass rusher for the Jets. You look at all the advanced numbers on
a really good unit too, by the way.
Exactly. So I thought going into free agency he was a player that the Eagles should target. I think that he makes sense for them, but there definitely is projection there. Now he's going to be playing, maybe 200, 300 more snaps than he did a year ago, right? So this is a huge jump for him. He's got to show that he's more than just a situational pass rusher. The Eagles badly need edge rushers to be productive this year. Hassan Reddick, I understand why they moved on. For seeing it today, Hassan was never going to come back on the deal that he was on. The Eagles looked at what it would cost to keep Hassan, and they said, all right, you can sign Huff for this price, have this cap space to allocate elsewhere, gave Devontae an extension, things like that, right? It made sense to me. But I was confident going into the year that Hassan Reddick would be a 10, 12, 14-plus sack player. We still need to see that with Huff. So I think he has the tools, but it's not a given. I actually think at the edge rusher spot, the key for it is going to be Nolan Smith. Because Josh Sweat, even if Josh Sweat is not what he was in 2022, I think a baseline for Josh Sweat is, 6-7 sacks, right? I think that if Nolan Smith is not a factor as the third pass rusher, then they're weaker on the edge than they need to be.
Yeah, I'm big time with you. By the way, the Georgia Dogs, all right, they're going to be. This is going to be the big year,
yeah,
right?
Yeah,
we talk about Jordan Davis, it's a big deal, right? Jalen Carter, I'm expecting. I believe in Jalen Carter. I think Jalen Carter will be a beast. We saw it early, rookie wall, the whole thing. So I believe in him. But the other ones, we talk about Nolan Smith, Jordan Davis, this is a big, big year for him, man.
You're absolutely right. And the big thing there is conditioning. He was down to 350 this offseason, right? And when you're down to 350, that means you were playing above 350 last year. And you saw toward the end of last year him tailing off in production. I think conditioning was an issue there. So really the question there is not just how he looks this summer, not just how he looks in September, but how is he going to be in November, December, January, right? Because that was the issue a year ago. With Jalen Carter, it's not enough for him to be good. He needs to be the best player on this defense, and I think he has it in him. But the way this defense is structured, I think back to 2013, Fletcher Cox going in the year 2, and Fletcher Cox went from a promising rookie to the best player on the defense in 2013. I think Jalen Carter can make that same jump, can be a Pro Bowl player year 2.
Yeah, that's my expectations. That's completely my expectations that he has the big year. I totally feel it. I think Jalen Carter, and they have to have that. I love with the kids in the back end. I think if all goes well, their back end should be decent. They have good corners, man. I like their secondary. We'll see if they can get some, the safety thing can be filtered, can be straightened out. But that Jalen Carter has to be the beast. Gotta be the beast.
Yeah, and then they're going to be playing these 5-man fronts, right? So you're going to see 3 down linemen in the middle, and Milton Williams needs to be more productive than he was a year ago too. They don't have a lot of depth at defensive tackle. If you want to look at spots where Howie could add during the next month, I think D tackle and wide receiver are 2 spots to pay attention to, because you bring up Jalen Carter. If Jalen Carter went down, they're really thin back there. Whereas last year, they had Fletcher Cox, right? They had 4 guys there you feel comfortable with. I don't know if you have that 4th guy right now.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, last thing. All right. because VG is a non-believer in Sirianni and in just the offense.
Kellen Moore.
Well, Kellen Moore, right? But really. So go ahead. I want you to lay it out with Zach because I like Sirianni. So you don't.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a middle of the pack head coach, if that. We've seen that his offense isn't great, and I feel like we're all hyped up with Kellen Moore, but he doesn't come. I mean, he's like a Cowboy retread, a Charger guy who they kind of were underachieving. So I don't have the hope and optimism with a Kellen Moore offense that everyone else does. So maybe you could talk me off the ledge.
Yeah, so I'm not going to talk you off the ledge on Nick or Kellen. I'm going to talk you off the ledge on you look at the players they have here, right? You look at A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley. There might be, if that, one or two teams in the league who are even comparable from a skill player perspective. I would say San Francisco and Miami are the only two teams that I would kind of put up there from a skill player perspective. Now, Jalen needs to play better. I agree with you there, but I think that for Kellen Moore, this is a dream situation for him because you got two bookend tackles. You got you got perhaps the best wide receiver combo in the NFL, and you got a top 5 running back. So if I'm going to talk you off the ledge on this, it's that their offensive talent is elite. They have the chance to have a high-end offensive line. And as much as we talk about coaching, I think it comes down to players. And I think this offensive roster is near the top of the league. And if they're not successful with it, then the coaching's really a problem because it's hard to be not a top 10 offense when you're this good.
All right, so he's telling me that this town is so good, even a mediocre guy like Kellen Moore, Jason Garrett could put up big points in this league.
Yeah, well, look,
believe in Kellen.
Kellen Moore's had offenses in Dallas when the talent's been there. That's been near the top of the league. As for Nick, we've discussed this on air. We've discussed this in the studio. I get all the criticism. I think what Nick might tell you is that in 3 years they've been to the playoffs all 3 years. They've been to the Super Bowl once. They've had double-digit wins twice, and there aren't many coaches in the league who have those type of credentials over the past 3 years. That said, those credentials are not going to get them a 5th year. What's going to get them a 5th year is winning and advancing relatively deep into the postseason. If this is a team that is not playing in the second or third weekend next year of the playoffs, then we'll be talking about a coaching search in January.
Yeah, I feel you. Zach, happy camp, buddy. Happy training camp.
I can't wait. I'll see you guys soon. I'm on with Bo at 2 o'clock today, and we're 2 o'clock now, really the rest of the season. After practice every day, fresh off the practice field, and throughout the season here on out.
Lock it in.
Nice.
Zach Berman and Bo Wolf, all Eagles, all PHLY Eagles show. It's fantastic. Lock it in. 2 o'clock every day. Thanks, my brother.
Thank you. Talk to you guys soon.
There he is. That was fun talking.
Yeah.
Zach, camp. Breaking news. A Woj. I'm not going to call it a bomb. But,
firecracker?
Yeah, it's a Woj firecracker.
A sparkler?
Yeah, a crack. I'll give him firecracker. I like Reggie Jackson.
Yeah, he's a winner.
All right. So Reggie Jackson took a buyout from Charlotte and said he will be joining the Sixers. I like it.
Yeah.
He's a combo guard.
Yep.
Right? Can play both. All right.
Shoots
he can
three
shoot
okay.
a little bit. Yeah, he can shoot a little bit. That's a good bench piece.
Yeah, one with the Nuggets, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good piece. Like those kinds of pieces are exactly what you need depth-wise.
Yeah.
Like I think that's an underrated piece. For our 70s.
That's definitely better than the Knicks. They're getting close to the Celtics.
Play the song. Yeah. I like it. I'll give you a play the song for Reggie Jackson.
Yeah. I'm in with that.
Right? Yeah. I like it. All right. Time now. VG's Nugs.
Oh, man. This is a hottie. Fresh off the wire. Everyone in the chat's blowing up about it. We got our first picture of the Russian Michkov with a Phillies hat on.
We love you, Michkov.
Look how happy Danny and Keith are. They're all ear to ear grinning.
Oh my God, that's fantastic.
Danny's carrying a bunch of sticks for him.
That's great.
Yeah, man, it looks good in a Phillies red.
Oh, I love it, man. That's just beautiful.
Look at Keith.
Do you think he had that hat on
Who
the plane?
cares? He flew the whole way from Russia
That
with
looks
it.
like a fresh brim.
And he likes it. It's the old CCCP red. He's a fan of it. He's like, give me that hat.
It's the Russian red. The sickle.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fabulous. Oh my God, that's great. I love that picture. That gets me excited.
Yeah, that's a good one,
Oh,
man.
yeah,
I
he's
didn't,
called.
I didn't expect to see him with the Phillies hat on.
Phillies hat. Everybody loves the Phillies.
Hey, batting averages. You know, if you throw faster, it's harder to hit, right? So the batting average velocity, averages per velocity. So what do you know? If you throw over 100 miles per hour, they bat 190. And it just goes down from, if it's under 90 miles per hour, they bat 282, and then it just drops and drops until you hit the 100 mile per hour mark, and it's a 190 league average. Makes sense, right?
No, I never knew that.
Yeah. You never knew that?
I had absolutely no idea. I thought, faster meant easier to hit.
Nah, I mean, faster if you catch it.
I'm kidding.
So Skeeve's doing material with us.
Yeah. It kind of fell flat.
Yeah.
Wah, wah.
Yeah, delivery wasn't great.
I love the Skeeves.
Hey, your dream is closer to reality with this 18-game schedule. Apparently, discussions are underway, and they're going very well between the NFL and the NFLPA. They actually believe that this deal is going to be done before the current CBA expires. I'm going to get
next year?
That's what it
You think
feels like, right?
We have an next year
Feels like it.
18-game season? No preseason.
No
They
preseason.
get rid of it. Listen, I'm great with getting rid of preseason games.
And I like that Goodell's anti-preseason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, and I will often thought this, preseason football, like you can't play football games that don't matter.
Yes.
You can't do it. Like you should be able, like you could do controlled scrimmages. There's ways to get your team ready to play. And with an 18-game season, you're also going to get some of the kinks out a little bit in September, right?
Yeah, so they do just joint practices, you think? What's the deal?
Yeah, I would do. That's the best way to evaluate is I would do joint practices.
Yeah.
I'd have that sort of thing. Remember, back in the day, they would have 6 preseason games.
Wow, that's too much.
See, imagine that.
Way too
Brutal.
much.
6
Brutal.
preseason games.
I understand like 2 to kind of get the conditioning going, get you warmed
Well,
up.
it's not even the conditioning because you do that through training camp. It's more of you need the things of a game, right? It's a fire drill on the sidelines, right? All those little things, nuance, get ready, come back. You're going to go to halftime. All that piece of it, just getting all your communications and all those little details. That would like a dress rehearsal. I almost get like 1, but I'm good with just getting rid of all. They don't do it in college.
Yeah, I guess that's right. They don't do it in college.
No.
I mean, they got like 80 people on the team, right? They can do a full scrimmage, I guess.
Yeah, they have the red and white
Yeah.
game or the cherry and white game or the blue and white
The
game.
spring
Penn
game.
State. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have that stuff, but it's different. Like you have enough to scrimmage and all, but you'll do joint practices where you evaluate.
So 2 buys. You're going to get
The
essentially
double buy.
You get the double buy.
Dude,
Double buy.
listen to me. Do me a favor. Once and for all, just vouch for me. How
No,
long
you've
ago did I say this?
I feel like 6 years at least you've been up on this.
Even more than that. They used to kill me. I'd say before it went to 17, like I'd be like, listen, I mean, this is years and years ago. I laid it out. Double buys, a first half buy, a second half buy, right? You start it the week after Labor Day, because you still got to give college Labor Day.
Sure.
You run it through February, right? So your President's Day weekend is the Super Bowl. Everybody's off on a Monday. It makes perfect sense. It's the perfect package. And then
March Madness right behind it.
right. So my whole idea was February gladness brings March Madness.
Ah, look at you.
Oh,
already
there you
got-
go.
Right?
You better trademark that.
Because think about it, right? February is a drab month. It's the worst month of the year.
Yeah.
It sucks.
It's very true.
Thank God it's short.
It's nothing. I was born in February. It sucks.
Yeah.
I hate February.
Gladness is a reach, though, right? It's not a
Super Bowl?
I don't know. Is it a word like you use often? Gladness?
I don't know. I just rhymes with madness. So what can I tell you?
February badness.
Yeah.
I don't know. Gladness.
I like it. Oh, I just,
not a big
whatever. I
glad.
just came out with whatever. You get my point.
Yeah, we're workshopping.
First half bye.
First half bye.
Everybody gets a bye the first half. Second half bye.
No, I think it's a great idea. I think,
You
know,
could get
more-
your
more
international
football.
stuff.
Yeah.
You could do whatever you want.
The President's Day is just a no-brainer.
Let's go to 20
Yeah.
games. We're already reaching to 18. 2 more. Come on.
See,
Give me
he's
2
always
more.
got to get crazy.
Listen, I at one point I wanted to have the Super Bowl in March and
20
have
games.
like the week
Bowl
before
in
Selection
March.
Sunday. So you would have the Selection Sunday.
How many games are they playing?
Right. So
22?
well, you spread it out. No, you could the way the calendar works.
Yeah.
Because February's a short month.
Yeah.
You could have the Super Bowl the last weekend in February. I have to look at the calendar to see how it works.
Yeah, but then we don't get the day off afterwards.
I know. I
want the day off. I want the day off.
President's Day makes the most sense.
Yeah.
It does. All right. What else you got?
Pro Football Focus, they released their best 50 players in the AFC. I got the top 10. See if you got any issues with these. Patrick Mahomes 1, Myles Garrett 2, Chris Jones 3, Tyreek Hill 4, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, TJ Watt, Travis Kelce, Sauce Gardner, and Joe Burrow.
I have problem.
Yeah, what's wrong?
What's your problem?
Switch Jackson and Allen. I don't think Josh Allen is higher than Lamar Jackson. I think Lamar
I
Jackson's
got
a
no
better
issues with
quarterback.
that. They're pretty debatable.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how you feel strongly about that.
I like the Sauce Gardner.
I mean, I like Sauce Gardner too. I love Josh Allen.
I think he's
Josh
a little
Allen
overhyped.
is a great quarterback. I think they haven't done enough around him.
I agree.
They rely too much. Dude, I mean, he's running for 100 yards. Like if you're as much as like we talk about Lamar, and Lamar's great too. And he had a great year last year. But if you go 5 years for 5 years, I think Allen's got him beat. I thought last year Lamar was better.
Yeah.
But not before that.
You starting a franchise tomorrow, you got to pick one of the two. Who are you picking?
Allen.
Josh Allen?
I
probably
He also cuts it through the wind. His
agree.
arm's ridiculous.
Yeah, he's an ox. He's a big. He's huge.
And he's got a great arm.
Yeah, I guess I just.
I mean, I love Lamar, so it's like, but I don't really feel strong. I mean, the fact that you like Jackson that much over Allen, I disagree.
I love the versatility of Jackson. I just love.
Well, what versatility don't you have with Allen?
I think. Well, Allen,
he's just as effective runner, if not more so. Like it's first and goal at the 2. Who's getting the ball?
Yeah, I mean, Allen's going to get the ball. I get it. I've seen Lamar break people's ankles more than I've seen.
What does that mean? It doesn't matter. I've seen Allen.
He's elusive.
I've seen Allen bowl over people. And by the way, he's got decent speed.
A little shifty.
I will give arm strength and power to Allen over Jackson.
I think Lamar has a really good arm. I do. I think he's got.
I think he's got a great
accurate. Arm. He's got a whip. He's got a terrific arm. But I don't know. I mean, I go Allen. I'm an Allen guy. I love Josh Allen.
Okay.
Mahomes, I would put Allen 2. I still go Mahomes 1. I think Mahomes
on that list. You would go 2 over Myles Garrett.
No. In quarterback list.
Quarterback. Okay.
Yeah.
Good news for me, and I think people. TNT matching the Amazon bid of $1.8 billion for the NBA rights for a certain amount of the games during the year. I can't keep track of, like, there's a Plan C game schedule, there's a Plan B, but I want these games to stay. I want TNT to keep some games. I love the show that they do, the production, so I'm happy about that.
Yeah, I like that too. I love that show. I love the TNT, NBA on TNT.
Yeah.
It's amazing though. And listen, we're excited for the Sixers. We got, new life. It's a rebirth with the Sixers in that sense. So excited. But you know what's incredible to me is the amount of money being made, like generated from NBA regular season games. we say that the NBA regular season doesn't matter.
Right.
It's
right.
completely
Don't even need to watch it.
diminished, right?
Yes.
And outside of a few losers like myself who watch it,
Yes.
and you, how can you justify spending $1.8 billion on the NBA? Like, are they making that up in advertising?
It doesn't seem like they would be able to, right? It doesn't. It seems like a number that they could
Like the
never
NFL
recoup.
go through every year, comes out in December, the top 100 watched television shows.
Yeah.
And 96 of them are football.
Yeah.
80 NFL and 16 college, right? Like
Yes.
everything's football.
And here we go, 1.8, and that's not for the full season.
I know it's
that's
a
a package of games.
Like they're walking away with $5 billion. So there's a scene in the show. It's amazing. There's a show, you don't like it. I liked it. It's Those About to Die. It's a show on Peacock. It's about the Roman Empire.
Okay.
Right? And there's a scene, right? And where they're talking about the politicians and the emperor are talking about the mob, right, of Rome, right? And they're upset because there's no, they're waiting for their food. They're hungry, right? And there's no work and the whole thing. So, of course, what do they want? What do they do? Games. So they have there was a bell or something in town that they ring, and that means there's going to be games coming up in the weekend, and all they care about. And so they give out bread, right? They give out like grapes, wine, and they bet on the games. And I swear to you, we're living at the exact same time, right? Here, TNT, $1.8 billion. Give them basketball. Give them 18 games of football. All right? Give them chicken wings.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we're going to rob the entire country while everybody's betting on football, right?
Yeah.
Give them their weed. Give them their football. Give them their pizza and wings. Keep them happy while we rob the country.
Right.
Blind them with vices.
It's
Yes.
It's the hottest day on recorded history on Sunday. They're fleecing us blind, but yeah, we got games to watch. Yeah.
You got a same game parlay.
Yes, right. For $12 is going to pay 60.
While we're taking out $2 trillion off the government budget, you got buffalo wings, baby.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Just feels like I'm good. At this point, I just don't care. I'm good. Just give me the wings. Give me a good game.
Right.
You know, I mean, we can't win at this point. Let's just have some fun.
I read this story, and in the story, the person wrote about it was all this upheaval going on in the country, and it was here the true American cares just about their own little bubble.
Yeah,
right?
Very true.
Can you give me decent prices at the grocery store?
Can I feed my family? Can I go on a vacation?
Can I allow my kids to play, soccer or baseball or football?
Put gas in my car.
Right? That's all the true American dream is. Listen, it'd be great if people were wealthy, right? That's all, obviously. But truthfully, for 99% of us, it's can we carve out a little tiny existence of happiness?
Yes.
Right? Of love with your family.
Some health.
Yes. Right? Good health care.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't kill me economically at the grocery store. And make sure the gas will run on the way to soccer practice. Or in my case, football or baseball practice.
Yep. All right. I'm going one quick good nug shout out or a yo to from the Taney baseball team. The last crew going through, Jared Sprague-Lout. He played third base for Arkansas this year. He got drafted 9th round, first pick, 256th overall. So it's the last of the Taney kids from the Little League World Series.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to hear that.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. VG, great read, man. Great job.
Thanks.
Excellent.
Super nervous.
Steve's produced. Excellent.
Thank
and of course,
you.
Versace.
Sache.
Our fine intern. Son of the brain. He is the son of the brain. You're a son of a brain. Everybody have a great day. We love you. All right. Be careful. Watch yourself. And we'll see you in the morning.
We all like the mayor.